Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. It's a beautiful day in the city of Pittsburgh, and a beautiful day to do what we're about to start. We are here today because as federal protections are being dismantled, Pittsburgh is stepping up to ensure that discrimination has no place in our city, particularly when it comes to housing. Today, we stand united in affirming that these executive orders are designed to protect our most vulnerable Pittsburghers, those at greatest risk of being displaced, and to make it clear that public funds will never be used to support discrimination. And the advocate in making sure that this does not happen is our Honorable Mayor Ed Gainey.
Good morning, Pittsburgh. You know, since we came into office 3 years ago, we worked very hard, and we worked together to make sure that we make this a city for all. And we wanted to make sure that we made this a city where people belong, and that we have a city that's affordable and not a luxury. But today, our mission for a better, fair, more equitable city is under attack. Housing rights are under attack by President Trump and his allies. This past month, the Trump-led Department of Housing and Urban Development proudly terminated the affirmatively furthering fair housing rule offer. When the Fair Housing Act was passed in 1968, it made it illegal for jurisdiction and public housing agencies to discriminate on the basis of race, color, origin, sex, disability, family status, and religion. It also required jurisdictions to take action to undo historical patterns of segregation and discrimination, and to promote fair housing choices and foster inclusive communities. But it wasn't until 2015, 50 years later, that the federal government actually created a framework that enforcing these rules will work. That framework offer is what the Trump administration eliminated last month as part of the reckless efforts to dismantle HUD, its workforce, its rules, and enforcement powers. Make no mistake, Pittsburgh, they're trying to take away our civil rights. There's no mistake about that. The Trump administration is backed by billionaire donors and real estate interests. It's making it easier for landlords to discriminate against you. They're making it easier for landlords to discriminate against you. And harder for you to find safe, affordable housing, and you know that's something that we've been working on. While we're working here in Pittsburgh to make housing a human right, because we do believe that housing is a human right, Washington is giving developers, landlords the green light to deny your housing because of how much you earn, where you're from, what you look like, the faith you practice, and who you love. By eliminating offer, the Trump administration is giving landlords permission to make excuses for not accepting Section 8 vouchers, by slashing funding and destroying fair housing capacity. This isn't about cutting red tape or removing extreme demands imposed on by local governments. No, it's not about that. It's not about that at all. That's what they claim, but it's not about that. This is a pathway to bringing back segregation, plain and simple. And segregation may not be the word that they use. It may not be the word that the Trump administration used, but their actions to stop enforcing federal fair housing rules are pushing us back to the unjust and immoral realities of yesterday. And that is not something we can stand for. But here in Pittsburgh, where civil rights are under attack, we stand up and we fight back. When Washington uses its power to destroy and abandon, we will use it to build and protect our residents of this city. Today, I'm announcing 2 executive orders that put our local power to use, our laws, our public dollars, and our leadership to protect fair housing in our city. We must do what's necessary to protect fair housing in our city. These orders that we're going to discuss today and I'm going to sign into today is 1, requiring every developer that receives city funds for their project to commit to following Pittsburgh's local fair housing laws. City financing is not a right. We must use it responsibly, and those who receive it must also act responsibly. Developers, landlords, and lenders who benefit from our city financing must demonstrate a commitment to anti-discrimination and inclusive housing. As the federal government rolls back their protections against housing discrimination, I want to make sure that everyone building housing in our city knows that we intend to protect our local residents from discrimination. Second, and we are prohibiting landlords and developers who receive public funds from rejecting tenants based on the source of income. With this order, we are putting an end to discrimination against people who use Section 8, vouchers, and ensuring protection remains for those on Social Security, disability, and other forms of public assistance to be able to pay their rent. Our Pittsburgh Commission on Human Relations, who's represented here today, will enforce these orders. We thank them for their partnership. We thank them for the work that they do, and I just want to sincerely say we appreciate all that you do to keep our city safe. Let's be clear. Trump and the MAGA machine are using executive orders to move fast and break the federal government and producing enormous amount of human suffering in the process. I'm using the executive orders to fight to strengthen our local safety nets and protect our civil rights. We know what happens when affordability disappears. We definitely know what happens when affordability disappears. And housing discrimination goes unchecked. In the last decade, Pittsburgh lost over 3,000 low-income families and more than 700 black home owners. Over the last 3 years, we've worked hard to reverse this trend. We've worked extremely hard to reverse this trend. During my time as mayor, we have built more affordable housing than any administration in the last 20 years. And through OWN PGH, we created 160 new homeowners, almost all of them minority or women. I think that's a victory for demonstrating our commitment to affordability and protecting rights. And we will certainly not let the Trump administration undo the progress we have made in building fair housing. And we are working hard to keep Pittsburgh home. Before I sign these orders, I want to introduce the President of City Council, Daniel Lavelle, for him to say a couple words, but I also want to recognize Councilwoman Gross and Councilwoman Warwick and Councilman Mosley that are here as well. Together, we are fighting for you, Pittsburgh. We are fighting to ensure that fair housing laws that may get rolled back in DC does not impact what we do here locally. It is extremely important that we stand up when our civil rights are being rolled back. And today is an example of that as I sign these executive orders. I want to say thank you and ask Councilman Lavelle to come forward.
Good morning, everyone. In 2015, with the support of my colleagues on council, sorry about that. In 2015, with the support of my colleagues on council, I led the passage of the source of income legislation. And unfortunately, the court struck it down. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure out how to reintroduce that legislation to protect the most vulnerable in our city. And recently, I had the opportunity to have a conversation with our mayor. And the mayor essentially said, look, don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. There's good we can do, and let's build upon that. And so I'm really grateful to be able to stand here today with the mayor as he begins to sign these executive orders, because what he's ensuring is that we're using the local powers that we have to ensure that we're fighting back against the negative things that are coming out of DC, and that we are ensuring that when you accept city dollars, when you accept taxpayer dollars, you're not then going to discriminate against those same individuals. That no matter what your legal source of income, be it disability benefits, be it a housing voucher, that you still should have a good place to live and a good place to call home in the city of Pittsburgh. And so I'm grateful for my colleagues who have been fighting for fair housing this entire time, and I'm grateful for the mayor for using his ability of the executive order to protect the most vulnerable in this city and protect fair housing for all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Lavelle. Next, I would like to introduce you to Kaya Scott, the program coordinator of Community, to discuss the impact on queer and trans renters.
Good morning, Pittsburgh. This is a scary moment in our country. Discrimination against the LGBTQIA community is nothing new, but the actions by the Trump administration targeting our community, especially trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming individuals, are nothing short of devastating. Since January, Trump has signed a series of executive orders targeting trans, non-binary, and GNC people. Project 2025, spearheaded by Trump-aligned think tanks, explicitly calls for reversing legal protections for trans people, removing gender identity from civil rights enforcement guidance. The administration is also stripping away housing discrimination protections on the basis of gender. In February, Secretary Turner announced that HUD will no longer enforce the 2016 Equal Access Rule, which requires that housing facilities and service funded through HUD must provide equal access regardless of gender identity. As a result, trans, non-binary, and GNC individuals will no longer have protections from discrimination at homeless shelters. We were already in a crisis. Our folks have been navigating systems stacked against us for decades. But this is something more. These decisions are not dangerous, they're deliberately cruel. These threats we face have escalated. We are now witnessing a full-scale, coordinated effort to erase trans, non-binary, and GNC people from public life. The federal government's actions are stripping away what little protection we had, and to be clear, those protections were limited at best. They represented small but meaningful steps towards accessing basic human needs like housing, safety, and healthcare needs that many of us were still fighting to access. And now, even that limited progress is being stripped away. The LGBTQIA+ community is looking to city leadership for protection from the actions of the federal government. Mayor Gainey is taking steps to make it very clear that you cannot get away with the housing discrimination against Pittsburghers on the basis of sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression. The executive order won't solve anything. Won't solve everything, I'm sorry. But the line in its sand. With Trump's HUD rolling back civil rights and national leadership failing to act, Mayor Gainey is stepping up. We'll keep organizing and we'll keep pushing back. But today we can say the city is listening and we will stand together to fight back and protect our community. To my trans siblings and family, they can legislate against us, target our care, and try to erase our existence, but we are still here. We are standing up, and this time we're not standing alone. Our voices are loud, our allies are rising, and we will not be moved. You are seen, you are valued, and together we are going to get through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. At this time, Mayor Gainey will sign the executive orders. I appreciate the local housing advocates that are here, as well as council members be present for the mayor's signing. Ms. Scott, you can still stay.